So, ladies and gentlemen, Daniel from Academia Express is on the line. Hi, Daniel. How are you today?
Hello, Amir John. I'm doing really well. It's a pleasure connecting with you and your audience.
Thank you so much for the time and being on our show. So, Daniel, let's jump right into the topic. A lot of people have this concern that how pandemic is affecting immigration, and we would like to hear from you because you are one of the top consultants in the industry, especially when it comes to students. So, can you please shed some light on what is happening with the pandemic and after that?
Yeah, well, it'd be my pleasure. First of all, thank you for that. I thank you for that introduction. Um, uh, well, my head consultant Vida is not here to really run you through how the pandemic has affected other sectors of immigration. So, for our purposes, I'm going to look at mostly how pandemic has been affecting student visas and the student population here in Canada. Um, Obviously, because it is a global pandemic, we've had the border closure. Um, uh, I mean, for the past, I mean, since March at least, Canada, because of the border closure, it has put quite a bit of delay on a lot of the files that's been going through processing. So unfortunately, we have had some trouble with that, especially when it comes to like submitting the file and getting responses. Everything has been delayed, so there's quite a bit of a backlog in a lot of the applications. That being said, when it comes to the student visas, I'm happy to report that the universities are running as normal. In fact, if there is anything, there is a greater need for international students in Canadian institutions going forward. Um, as far as we know, for example, most of the universities here in Canada continue to be open for operations. And my colleague Mushtaba can testify to that with with the University of Alberta. But based on our work so far, the university have been quite receptive to international students, and we've been filing for their application for next year, starting September.
That is great. Thanks for reporting good news actually for the students. So when we talk about students, I believe that it's your niche market, right? This is the one that you
Yes.
have more experience with, and it says with your press. So can you talk a little bit about that? Why is it academia? Like how your activities relates to students
All right. Well,
when it comes to
beside
immigration?
of course, right. So, like I said, the two of our partners here with Academia Express are certified RCIC, so we are certified immigration consultants. However, most of us here are also academics. So, for example, I'm just finishing up my PhD in anthropology at the University of Kansas. My colleague Mojtaba, who's here with us, is also he's a faculty at the University of Alberta. So we're distinctly familiar with the type of struggles that students go through on a day-to-day basis. And also, we're familiar with the university environment, especially in North America, right? So um, uh, typically, our clients ask us, besides processing their student visa application, they generally ask us to help them with, for example, how to write a proper cover letter or how to write a proper letter of intent, right? Or how to conduct a proper academic interview with professors, with universities, especially for like upper year students. This is like for masters and above. You want when you enter the interview, you want to be prepared for the type of questions that the committee the committee that's going to ask you, and we really help we really help the students with these. We often provide like one-on-one session with them. We run through their requirements that they have to fulfill, and also just go over their credentials. Sometimes as people who English is their second language, it might be harder to get across what they've studied, what their scholarship background is. is. So we really help bring that out for them, for the faculty, for the committee. And actually, my colleague Mojtaba, he's here as well. Maybe he's our academic coordinator. Maybe he can also speak to that. So I'm gonna actually pass the spotlight to Mojtaba, if you don't mind, Amir John. Maybe he can speak to that as well.
Sure, sure. Why not? So let me have Mojtaba on the line. Hi, Mojtaba. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Yeah. So, what's the question or a specific point? I want to remind myself and audience about that.
So Daniel was talking about how the immigration for students is affecting by pandemic,
Yeah, I know.
and
Uh, Go ahead.
he
Yeah.
wants you to shed some light on.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, like, can you hear me now?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Basically, as I saw, like how the students apply for positions from outside of Canada, uh, everything is fine. Just the process of visa became like instead of one like step, they have two steps. One online application, the other one is like on-campus application because people can start their education from their home country and have the first semester online because of the pandemic. So basically, there are some like visa issues, but Canada tried to resolve that by giving them study permit such that they can like start the first semester online, and that's a good option. So they can go to the Canada like visa application center in different countries gradually and get the visas for the next semesters. Uh, but the other issue that happened for graduate studies, like people that are applying for masters and PhD positions, is shortage or lack of funding for some like professors. Like because of pandemic, some of them has a shortage of funding, so it became a little harder to support graduate students uh, like the past when they have enough funding. So that's another issue. But I think that they are coping with those issues very well right now. And now the process of uh, giving visa got better, and also there are some fundings related to COVID. So, so I mean, from immigration aspect or point of view, and also applications from the universities, like both of these ones are getting better. And because of like vaccine development, I think everything is going to become better over the like next couple of months.
Mujtaba, you mentioned some funding for coronavirus, like
Yeah,
regarding this pandemic. So
yeah.
can you talk about that a little bit? What type of fundings are available to students now?
Yeah, you know, these are some basically these are more about grants, like the grant that faculty members or professors can apply for them, and like funding agencies, like in Canada, NSERC, which is more about engineering and science, and CIHR, which is more like the Institute for Health Care and Medicine. Both of them define some grants that are basically focused on COVID related research. For example, in my field, that is engineering. So anything that is helpful for people during this pandemic. For example, you develop a robotic system that can make like the people more people with disabilities, like elderly people, people that have some like weaknesses or impairment in their limbs, make them more independent and assist them during the time that they have to have self-isolation. So this is a kind of pandemic related or COVID related research, even though it's not about vaccine or like Corona. Uh, so, so these agencies and government of Canada are trying to support like academic environment and people, uh, and at the same time help like communities to fight against COVID-19 pandemic. So yeah, I think that now like people are going to know better how to cope with this situation and have their research and uh, secure their funding, which is good.
Thank you, Mustafa.
Amazing. Thanks for the valuable information, Mojtaba. Yes, as we all know,
My
pandemic
pleasure.
and Corona has changed the world, and it will be a different world than before. And thanks for all the good information. So going back to Daniel,
My
uh,
pleasure.
Daniel. So I would like to ask you one more question, which is very important, and that's comes down to your personal advice. What do you think
Mhm.
that students should keep in mind when it comes to immigration and when they want to make a very successful student visa application?
Right. Well, I'm. I think I'm gonna answer in two parts. First, I'm just going. This is the general advice we give students, student applicants in general. First of all, is that when they want to apply for the letter of acceptance, they should really focus on getting their documents translated by a reputable source, getting all the stamps that are necessary, making sure that their letters are in a cover, they include their letterhead from the university. Um, uh, and also, spending some time, maybe even spending some money, giving their letter of intent to a professional editor. Like I said, most of our applicants, English is not their second language, so it's really essential to really work on that cover letter or that letter of intent to make sure that their expertise, their knowledge, their background is really highlighted in that letter of intent. Um, and having a consultant, having an academic consultant, somebody that can advise you is really important. um, having even if you can have like one email correspondence with a professor from that university that you wanna apply to, um, helps you really understand the program that you wanna get interest into. um, it helps develop that personal connection, with the universities, with the faculties. um, so I would suggest that they first do their own research, really look into the programs, look into the different universities that they want to apply to, and maybe get in touch with one or two of the professors that they can. These are usually a lot of the professors, a lot of the faculty members. They have their email address on the website. And of course, I also help with that. When our clients contact us, we help them with that. We try to connect them with the universities directly, maybe send an email on their behalf if possible. Um, but developing that personal connection is important. For visa purposes, when we're talking about, for example, when it's one thing getting the acceptance letter, but it's another getting the visa, right? So sometimes people confuse these two. Is that a lot of the clients, they think once they get the acceptance letter, they're automatically guaranteed a student visa, and that's just not the case, right? You have to prove to the officer who's going to be reviewing your file that basically what you're applying for here in Canada has a benefit. It makes sense when he's looking at your CV, when he's looking at your resume. In other words, if, for example, you have been outside of or you haven't really studied for 10 years, there's a gap between your study period. Well, the officer may question that. He may question, or she may question your intent. Uh, well, why are you starting your studies right now? So you have to prove to the officer that your intentions to study are genuine. So that just means that making sure that when you've applied for this university program, that you really intend to study, and you have to prove that to the officer. So we really work with our clients. We really work with our student client or people who apply for the student visa. We really work with them to make sure that the program that they apply to applies to their to their work, what they're doing in their own home country, and prepare a case that shows that they are genuine students, right? Um, another issue might be um, for example, if a person has a PhD, let's say in engineering, let's say from Honduras or from Guatemala, and then they apply for a bachelor's program in, let's say, um, um, medicine or healthcare, right? Um, well, that's not going to fly because, like I said, it doesn't match your line of studies in your home country. So the officer again might start questioning the reasons behind your application. He may think that you're just trying to get into Canada in order to basically declare, or you're not coming here to study. You're just coming here for the purposes of staying in Canada, right? Um, so these are some of the issues you have to keep in mind when we're applying for a student visa. There's of course more, but I mean, I don't know if you have enough time. I mean, I'll let it up to you, Amir, if you have any specific questions.
Very good. Well said, Daniel. I believe this is more than enough for the audience at this point, because you mentioned it all. They need to know that it has to be valuable for the destination country. All their activities, all their studies has to be beneficial for Canada. And as well, on the other side, they need to prove that they will return at the end of their study to their home country.
That's right.
And I believe if they need more information, they can connect and find a way. We have all the information available for them, so they can
Mhm.
connect to you and your consultants, and they can ask more information.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, ladies
In
and
fact,
gentlemen, Daniel from Academia Express. Sorry, you wanted to mention something else?
oh, Amirjan, I was just gonna say, Mojtaba, he's a faculty at the University of Alberta. So he personally oversees some of the international students who apply to the University of Alberta. So in fact, he might have some good tips when it comes to getting the acceptance letter, or how students need to present themselves. Um, if you don't mind, maybe just asking that from Mojtaba in terms of getting the acceptance letter for the universities, like how students need to prepare their profile. um, it would be good for the audience, I think, maybe to hear some of Dr. Sharifi's input as well.
Well, that's amazing. I believe our audience got the jackpot right now. And because we having Mojtaba here from University of Alberta, and if they can connect to Mojtaba, there is a high chances of acceptance here, and they can ask any questions. So let me have Mojtaba again on the spotlight here. So
Hello
Mojtaba
again.
John, can you please advise about the acceptance letter a little bit?
Yeah, I think that Daniel mentioned like the important points about getting admission, but I want to emphasize on some points. The first one is finding the professor that you have very related research with that person or that professor. For example, some people are approaching us and their field of research is not exactly related, and they have lower chance of acceptance. So it's better to put some time to have a good and wide research and search over like different university websites, find the most related research and research group and faculties, and then send an email specifically to that person or professor. As I said, because of shortage of funding and like high number of applicants, so you have to be very accurate in finding like professors and research groups and that should be very related to your past research. Like if you want to find a position for graduate studies, I mean, not for bachelor degree or lower than that, you have to find a person that has a research and you have at least like like experience in that field. Uh, so that's an important point. Uh, and yeah, I think that that's really important. And also considering the deadlines and like in advance, you have to start your communication with the professor. These are the points that most of the people should know about that. You are mute, Amir, I think.
Thank you, Mujtaba.
Amir, I think that you are muted.
Thank you, Mojtaba, and thank you, Daniel, for being on our show and for your time and valuable information that you provided to our audience. I do appreciate this and hope an audience can leverage this information to have their student visa as well as their students acceptance letter.
Yeah.
My pleasure. Thank you for reaching out to us. We do appreciate everything that you do, and also what your show contributes to our the immigration field. So we look forward to our future correspondence.
Yeah, it's my pleasure as well.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Likewise.
Yeah, we hope that it would be like helpful for people, students, and applicants in the future.
خب پس من اینجا استاپ رکوردینگ میکنم چون